This is my portable PlayStation 4. It's good for traveling or bringing a game over a friend's house. I'll show you how I built it. The project starts with one of these cases from Harbor Freight or similar. This one is the Apache 4800. When you buy it, it comes full of diced foam, we won't need much of that for this project. This is our 19-inch 720p monitor. I've removed the case because we don't need it for this project. It has a standard main board with component, a tuner, HDMI, VGA, a 5-volt supply, which I believe is for programming, but it can supply things, and composite video, as well as optical and headphone out. A lot of these things we're not going to need. Mostly just the HDMI. As far as the controls go, it's a lot simpler than when it was built. We have a volume up-down rocker, which is a normal toggle. It's a center off momentary. We have the same toggle for power, but we're only going to be using one side. This is on, this is off. Originally, this board had a lot more keys than it has now. It had power, channel, infrared, a few LEDs, and a lot of things that we just don't need for this build. As far as the volume goes, I discovered that the labels on the board don't exactly match the functions, which doesn't really matter to the manufacturer. They just change them afterwards. What we'll see is that ground is the common for everything. Volume up is in fact volume up, but volume down is menu, and menu is the real volume. For the volume control itself, we have ground in the middle, volume up, and what was called menu, which is actually volume down. And when we push one way, it sends ground to the volume down. When you push the other way, it sends ground to the volume up. The other things we need to make this board work are 12 volts and ground, which were supplied by a standard wall wart. This is a 3 amp switching power supply that I found in salvage. I get a lot of parts that way. These are the unused keys from the keypad. In case I ever decide to go back, I left them connected. We have a speaker output and a LED output, which drives the LEDs on the panel. We'll connect those, and let's get these wires out of the way. The LVDS cable connects to the panel like so. That powers the panel as well as sending all the video information. I'm going to mount the main board to the panel It was a lot thicker before. There was a lot of brackets and just junk that got in the way. We'd like this to be really thin so that it fits in the lid of the box. Here's a little bit of double-sided tape. I could print a board mount on the 3D printer, but sometimes simple does the trick. We'll mount this up a little bit high so that we have room for the HDMI to come down and that it doesn't hit where we're going to put our speakers. The next piece we need, this is just a frame. I bought it at the craft store a few years ago. It's a custom frame. You buy the side pieces in whatever length you want, and you buy the top and bottom pieces in whatever length you want. You get 2 pieces per box. They come with these L brackets, which you put in and then tighten with a screwdriver. They go like so, and then you get a custom frame. I did this because this TV set had another life. It used to sit on my dining room wall displaying videos of sunsets all day and all night. But this frame fits this project perfectly because the bezel of this TV is much too large to fit in the box. The next piece that we need are these 3D printed brackets that are going to go on the frame, and they go like so. If you see, I printed them to fit the frame. They slide in. And this way, the bracket can be anywhere you'd like along the side. Like that. They are adjustable so that anywhere you drill the holes, you can get them to line up. These are the 4 frame pieces. There is one more 3D printed piece. It has these same brackets basically built into it. Had a little soldering iron accident here. But those brackets are married to this piece so that you can slide them along the bottom. And with that, we can start to build the frame. On this monitor, we want to be careful of the LED power wire and not to scrape it, because there is, if I'm not mistaken, there's about 40 to 60 volts running through here, and it's the only thing lighting up the screen. Now that the frame is installed, there are these springs to hold it steady. This one I'm going to put dead center right there. course, this one is going to go flying across the room at any moment. It didn't. Since this monitor is running on 12 volts and there's going to be a PlayStation 4 Pro in the box, we might need a little cooling for that. So I've got this fan, which is also reclaimed. It's a 12 volt fan. I made an extra long wire. It runs off of the same power supply as the TV. Whenever the box is plugged in, this fan goes on. It'll cool the PlayStation when it's running, and it's just dumb enough to keep cooling when it's not. This case has had a different monitor in it in the past. It was only a 15-inch monitor, and it was nowhere near as thin as this LED monitor. The old one was a backlit, so I had to take off many more pieces, and the power board studs used to mount here. It wasn't a good design. This monitor is a lot better. Our power cord for this project is going to be one of those fancy cloth covered extension cords with the end cut off. Instead of the end, I have one of these plugs. I'm not sure what you'd call it, a figure 8 plug, Phillips plug. It's the non-polarized version. In addition, we have a 3-prong IEC cord for the PlayStation. The PlayStation Pro is not grounded, so we only need the hot and the neutral, and that's the way it's wired here. Otherwise, this ground wire would be used. Here's the HDMI we'll be using for this project. It is a 3-footer. We don't quite need that much, so I've tied it up a little bit. I'm going to neaten that up before we're done, but that's the measurement we need. Some HDMIs are actually directional. This is one of those. I don't know if it will make any difference in our project, but sometimes you need to follow the arrows. The one going into the monitor is pointing towards the monitor. The one coming out of the PlayStation is pointing away. Okay, let's tidy these wires up a little bit with some zip ties. These three, are going to run down along the hinge into the cabinet in the same place. Okay, with the monitor mounted, we have all these wires. The fan is going to go right about here, and we've cut a hole for it already. Just use a razor knife. Now it's time to work on the brackets for the PS4. This is the rear. It grabs right around here in the larger area. It also will house the exhaust fan to get some of that heat out. The other clamp we have is the front clamp, which is going to go right about here. This one slides forward and back to let us remove the machine. To hold those clamps in, we need some carriage bolts. In my case, 1/4 20. I've already indented these so that they fit and don't require any wrenching on the outside. This knob actually just has a 7/16 nut in it. So now we can mount the fan and the grill. We're going to want the air to blow outwards, which is towards the label. We can tuck this wire in behind the bracket if we can get it to stay there. The next step is this cover to cover all the wires. Now that most of the building is done, let's see how the PlayStation fits. My PlayStation has an external hard drive, so I've also built this piece to house the hard drive. And we need power, HDMI, it slides in just like that, except for one problem. I've put this on the wrong stud, so it doesn't slide out far enough. You'll notice I drilled 2 holes. I drilled this one first, then this one, and forgot which one it needed to be. Now it's pretty secure. Let's get it a little tighter than that. There. Now it can't go anywhere. To avoid the controller just floating around in here and bashing up things, I printed out this bracket, which fits like so, right about here. Controller fits like so, and when the lid closed, the monitor comes down almost to it, and it doesn't really fall off. I added one final touch, which is a dual extrusion PlayStation logo for the box. So wherever you go, you just plug it in, open it up, turn on the game, and you're ready to play.
Get over. We'll come to the hotel.
Oh, easy.
Don't worry, I ain't gonna drop you.
What do you bet?
Scorpion? Guy with a large picture?
Zodiac signs. Look, there's Leo.
Ah, Taurus?
4 signs.
4 bells, way up there. And these things in the middle of the floor look like locks.
Got it. Let's go ring some bells. This is definitely the place. Call Sam.
On it.
Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus.
Voicemail. Hey, Sam. Looks like we're at the right town. Call us. They don't have the best coverage in this city.
Well, no reason to wait. I'll be right back.